Rock and roll.
Okay, everybody? All on the floor? You're ready to start? Dr. Bailey, this is Max on the Moon. He's one of our Italian speakers. Thank you very much for coming in again today. So, I hope you really enjoyed this. This is all to do with maths and coincidences and all the bits and pieces that go on with our closest stellar neighbour. That's right. Lunar neighbour. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
And he doesn't need a microphone, Barry.
Right, I was going to start by saying you've all volunteered to come and do a maths lesson, which is unheard of in this country, because everybody hates maths. Again, it's part of the conspiracy thing that actually anything interesting, they try to put you off it at school. That way you won't ask too many questions when you get older. Maths is the key to the universe, so we're going to enjoy it. Now, if I divert a bit, it's because that's what I do, because that's interesting. And also, it makes the boring bits a bit sort of more interesting as well, because I don't get all drone on rigorously. Funny enough, a lot of stuff that we have covered, thank you for coming and listening, and staying to the end, which is always good. And for going to have me, because it's great, because the nice thing about us is we're all enthusiasts, as you can tell, and we share the information. And I learn from everybody else, and hopefully if I find something, I'll show you, and then you know it, and I know it, and we all know it, so that's how it works. So it is a very much not just me telling you stuff, it's interactive. So please feel free, there's questions at the end, but we'll see. I try to keep the maths simple, and the message straightforward, so you don't get a headache, because this is such an amazing subject, that you can easily get overloaded. And all I'm doing is presenting like a 1 hour slot to say, if you don't know any maths about the moon, matrix, Mars, or so, then this will whet your appetite, and you can go and find out on the internet. Because the nice thing is nowadays we've got the internet, we can just go find out. In the past, you had to buy books on it, videos, talk to people, things like that. Adding a few things to what I've learned today with Marcus and that. David Percy's book 2/3. David Percy has come up a lot today, and David was in Canterbury in 1993, just before he produced 2/3, and he did a talk in Canterbury which sort of blew my brain cells out. And then I bought the book at Christmas, and I used a calculator to check the calculations, because it's the sort of book you need to read with a calculator. It's a story, but how did you? And I said to him, how did you know all this? How did you write this? He said, well, I won't tell you. He said, but you've asked me to sign your book, and I'll sign it for you, and you can go work it out. And it's the square root of 3 divided by 2 was the key transcendental constant in his book. So he wrote that, and I said, put that. And then he wrote Carrie Jackman, and he actually remembers the information, because all of us are memory machines. So as we go along, my little website, ravenecho.com, everything's free on their website, all my books are free, just download them. We talk about the spiritual connection, and we don't go into money, because it's all beyond money. When you start talking about gurus and spiritual stuff, and then they hold their hand out, and then you say, why have you got 73 Rolls Royces if you're very spiritual? And they go, oh, well, I'm just testing my spirituality. Yes, okay, but I mean, you should walk around with a bed sheet and some sandals and have nothing. I mean, this is how we should go on. So this is very important. All our website is everything's free, and the guy that runs it for me is one of my ex-people, who's a computer whiskey, and we can all remember stuff. So here we are, Unexplained Margate, a very good title of Margate, April 11th, and ravenecho.com, if you ever want to pass my website. We were able to demonstrate past life memory as a reality, because all of us have memories. We're tuning into our 90% subconscious, which is how we know stuff. Even when we're little, we know stuff. You're all very switched on. Most of the people aren't. Their little modems are not working very well, and they're on dial-up, and somebody keeps charging them up with lines and stuff like that. A lot of you are on broadband. This is why you're into this. You know it's not right, this planet, and nothing adds up. There is nothing that adds up on this planet. This is why you're here today, and you think. This is why I like that sign. Interesting was it Marx had the caution sign? Or Andrew? Because I've used that as well. It's this sort of like, one thing the government doesn't want you to do is think. So here we go, rock and roll. If you glaze over, please just look at the pictures. And just, it'll go into your subconscious, and then you'll go, oh, I'll check that out later on. So don't get a headache. Right, the math magic of the Earth-Moon matrix. It was a big part of my waking up because I suddenly realised that people on this planet knew this stuff and that they weren't telling us. Ancient civilizations knew it. And now we don't have to go and buy a book. You can just dial it up on the internet, sacred geometry, up it comes. Once upon a time, there was a sacred geometry book in Maidstone Library, which one of the chaps found in the little UFO research unit I used to work with. And then he went back 2 weeks later and they said, what's happening? He said, where's that book? He said, oh, we haven't got that book anymore. It just disappeared off the shelves. And you find that a lot of stuff disappeared off the shelves. Especially a lot of the early UFO books that showed electrogravitics and anti-gravity drives and things like that. By about 1961, they all disappeared off the shelf. Somebody somewhere with a lot of clout, big publishers, media moguls, governments, they're all, working hand in glove. So here we go, chapter 5, Square in the Circle. This is a book I wrote for Forbidden Science. It just sort of summed up what I'd learned on my journey for 20 years. Everything I wasn't told and was frightened to ask about, I decided to stick in the book so that other people could just pick up the book and say, oh, that's interesting, and go and find out without having to do a lot of legwork. So it was a sort of cook's tour of everything you're not supposed to be told, the X-Files. Chapter 5 is about the relationship between Earth and the Moon. So a lot of the anomalies of when I learnt about the Moon in the early 90s, I put into that chapter. You can download the book free. It's downloadable, readable on a Kindle or iPad or anything you've got. Pretty good. So the geometric relationship is part of everybody's birthright. It's something we should have all been taught at school, fundamental to why we're here, who we are. But no, like everything else, we're not allowed to know. How do I know all this stuff, and how can I remember my past lives quite clearly? Well, they discovered when they thought I had a stroke that I actually had an extra plumbing system. This is the back of my brain, and you see that's what it should look like. It should be mirrored on that side, but as you can see, it's much more complicated. And they put me on warfarin. They said you split your arteries back of your neck, so I suddenly thought, well, why am I still walking around? And then a week later, Dr. Hargrove rang me up. He said, come and see. He says, all right. He said, I've sent your scans to 5 of my colleagues at university, King's College, and he said, they all agree you're not built like any other human we've seen. And then when I went there, he said, well, it's very rare, very rare. I said, how rare is it? He said, I haven't seen it. He said, I'm going to write a paper about you. He was very excited because he actually had something new to write about in his journals. So for me, I thought, yes, result. I have an alien. Excellent, great stuff. I always knew I was. So, another picture. I love all this. I just love technology. I taught physics and chemistry for 38 years. And I just love the detail. That's detail of the scan. I mean, this is what they're looking at when they look into your brain, and these scanners, MRI and things. That's a traditional, because they use a multiple approach, so they use X-rays. So here we go, I like this. This is what you're supposed to do. Work, buy, consume, die. There we are. That's all right. I like the logos as well. I think that's very, somebody's very good at art. They pinched all the famous badges and twiddled around them. Yeah, I mean, it's, you're a slave of the country, slave of the government, slave of the bankers. We give the peasants something to play with, have a bright toy, play with it. Meanwhile, we'll be doing this. What are you doing? You go, oh, have a bit more. Occasionally it goes wrong. France, 1789, French Revolution. The peasants didn't get enough toys to play with, so they decided to chop the heads off everybody in charge. Since then, the French government has been very, very calm about keeping their heads by giving the peasants what they want, which is why I have all these strikes in France and stuff like that. Never straight answer since 1947, and continue to do a brilliant job. Give us another 10 years, we'll tell the answer, so long as you keep funding us. As I say, we've built one rocket, now we've built another rocket, or we can sell it again, because the sheep have forgotten what's going on. So we're going to go to Mars now and build another rocket. Marvellous. Keep all happy. So what we heard today has been brilliant. I really enjoyed it. Both the speakers, absolutely excellent. I just really enjoyed myself. Here we go. Blah, blah, bullshit, blowing ad nauseum. Until we all get bored, so rigid that nobody can be interested. What's the X Factor do? Oh yeah, I'm going to vote for Steve. Yeah, right. Boof. I'll ring the bell. Now, if you could get 11 million people to vote for the X Factor, why is the turnout of the elections so dismal? The election's more important than the X Factor. You know, it's just well, we don't want people voting us out of our job. You know, we've got a nice little job here. I've got a job for life. I'm a career politician. I've never done any real work, but I'm a politician. I get the old expenses, I stack it away, and I claim for my duck house, and it's brilliant. There's two words. Military. I worked for the military in Germany when I went to Germany, and they said, you know more about guns and weapons and tanks than we do, and we're doing it as a job. I said, well, it's a hobby for me. Military intelligence, and I've now added this one, scientific thinking are oxymorons, because they don't want people to think in the military, they just want people to follow orders, and of course they don't want people in the scientific community to think, because they can't have original thoughts, because they've got to say what the status quo is, maintain the status quo. So, this is who's really in charge of the Space Command. It's Naval Space Command. You have a Space Navy, you have spaceships. If you ever ask the American Air Force, have you got any spacecraft? They go, no. But they're right, they haven't got any spacecraft. This bloody Navy's got the spacecraft. If you ask the same question to the Navy, they shut up very quickly, because it's run as a space Navy. And these, I used to think these were something to do with satellites, but actually they now call this the rules. This is actually metaphorical for the grid that controls us. We actually live in a prison with no bars, and we're not allowed out. And you've heard from the other speakers that we keep trying to go out, and they keep pushing us back. You're not supposed to be here. Get back on your own little prison. We're gradually breaking out, and as Mervyn always said in Herne Bay, he said the real architects in the mystery are the ETs, because they're keeping the lid on. They could turn up tomorrow and settle the arguments. So we're allowed. We're allowed to know so much. There's the Air Force. Again, you see the same logo with what they call the two rules around it, and you see their delta-shaped craft. These are craft that operate in aerofoil space. They're all very clever. They have all these little codes. They like their little codes, a bit like being a Boy Scout, you know. I know the secret. This is really what they're doing. This is a sort of how they're impressing the youngsters, who they get these hotshot pilots and things like that to join this Naval Academy, because that's the image they're selling. It's the old Star Trek thing. There's something that's a bit more Nazi-ish to it, isn't it? So no accident, because the Nazis all didn't lose the war. The Germans lost the war, but the Nazis just buggered off to America with a load of gold and started corporate America. Come on in, we'll have some corporations. Yes, we'll buy the land, we'll have Halliburton, and we'll have our own army, and we live here. It's land of the free, surrounded by fences with guns. You come on our land, we'll shoot you. Area 51, come on in. The federal government owns 1/5 of the landmass of America. The federal government spent $40 trillion building an underground tunnel system between all its bases. That's the sort of money they're playing with. NASA are playing with 1% of that budget, if you're lucky, because NASA is the front. This is some of their toys. You've probably all seen them on the internet. If you haven't, this is American technology based on Nazi German technology and various other bits of technology that people cobbled together. And this is the TR-3B. It's about the size of a football pitch. That one was filmed over Paris. It's a famous YouTube clip. You can see it rotating. This is it caught in the daylight. This is in Italy, I think it was Italy or America. Again, it might be from a YouTube video, but you can see this is the anti-gravity drive here. This actually takes the weight off. It is an aerofoil, so it operates in airspace. You'll see him buzzing down the North Sea over Margate on the way to the Middle East. You'll sometimes catch glimpses of them at night. They fly up the estuary, they fly across from the Hudson Valley, and so on.
Yeah.
Oh.
I saw one last year.
Well done.
Actually, just over here.
Yeah, yeah. They come off Herne Bay, and they go down the middle of the North Sea often. They're used for reconnaissance. Yeah. This is somebody's planned up a very expensive piece of kit. They've obviously made a smaller version. This is a sport version. That's the anti-gravity drive there. That gives it 89% buoyancy, so you can push it around with one finger. It's still using conventional jets, as you can see, and it's got aerofoil type controls. It's actually got the USAF badge here, so it must be Air Force. He's obviously very pleased with himself because he's made it into the black uniform unit. There I am. I'm very important. Look at me. That's how the Americans work. You know, shh, you're in our Boy Scout unit, but it's all top secret. Ooh, lovely. And there's a couple, and they fly around in twos, just like jet fighters, because you need a wingman keep riser. Wing Keach up in Yorkshire showed me a piece of video of one of his friends caught at Fylingdale, and it was a UFO hovering over the American research facility at Fylingdale, which is early warning radar and communications. And one of these black triangles came up like that, and it's on night vision camera. And it's black triangle, this is UFO, this black triangle, and they're playing bumper cars, it tries to hit it. So the UFO hits it back. And when he does that, another black triangle comes up to support his mate. And honestly, these things are billions of dollars, and they're playing like bumper cars with perhaps real ETs in their UFO. It was the most incredible bit of footage I've ever seen. I said, can I have a copy of that? He said, well, actually, he says, my mate doesn't want it circulated, he said, but he said, I thought I'd show you, but I mean, I wish I had a copy of that because it's worth showing people. It's just so funny. It's like you've got all these toys, and what are you doing with them? That was the size of the early ones. You see, the early ones are about the size of the airplane. Now, I'm only showing you this because you know this argument about why do we stop going to the moon? Did we ever go to the moon? Well, this program has been going on since 1945. Operation Paperclip. They brought back all the Nazi technology. The Russians were in on it. French, the Russians, British, Canadians, and but it's mainly Americans. So the Americans managed to spend trillions of dollars and get it working. The Russians had some of the bits, but their infrastructure wasn't as good as the corporate Nazis that the Americans got. So and this is some of the bigger stuff. This may be able to go operate out in the atmosphere. Some of them are actually just a square shape, rectangular shape with 4 lights. That one seems to be a bigger version. Again, it's like everything else. These are only pictures, and if the pictures are too clear, it says fake, Photoshop. If they're too blurry, say, oh, that's nothing, it's blurry. You can't win. In India, it's just an idea. So that was the original one. This was a bit that impressed me. This was the footage over Paris. So yeah, this is the toroid ring. This is a picture from a NASA book from 1960, before they banned all these pictures. And you can see the NASA workers working on the toroid that actually produces the anti-gravity drive. So you can see here, this is the thing. This is actually a Russian published thing, 1961. It's Soviet Physics Academy, and there it is. It's basically, you've got a mercury plasma going around here, and inside the mercury plasma is ferrite particles which are accelerated with these coils with electric pulses. Now, because it's super cooled, you get this dipole effect, and you can spin this with zero resistance up near light speed. And when you get things near light speed, it starts to bend time and space. So these craft do have capacity to go into space because space is a fabric, so there's no air in space, so you can't use jets, but you can bend time and space to create gravity by spinning things. And if you've got a big planet, you can spin it slowly, 1,000 miles an hour, it creates gravity. If you've got a very small object, you need to spin it faster, it creates gravity. And as Marcus said earlier on, Professor Eric Laithwaite made a mistake of saying, here's a 28-pound gyroscope, I can't lift it, got it going, with an electric motor, and then he picked it up and waved it around his head. He said, it seems to have lost mass. And because he said he seems to have lost mass, he lost his job, lost his funding, lost a lot. Because yes, it had indeed lost mass. So in other words, it became weightless. Now that's very useful. Then it becomes weightless because you can push it around with one finger. Exactly like his craft. That's why he lost his job, poor guy. I felt sorry for him. It's up to them. He was on telly every 5 minutes, you know, maglev trains and stuff. He was one of my heroes as a boy. Some of the bigger stuff, this is stuff that amateur astronomers are caught in orbit. Again, is it ours or somebody else? We don't know. But these look like interstellar craft. This is your compartment for your crew. Here you've got the ion pulse drives and things like that. It's exactly like some of the Hollywood films you see. This was filmed by an amateur astronomer who caught them up in the atmosphere. And as Carl said, it does look a bit like some of those craft around the sun. So, you know, this is the space now. This is what they're playing with. If it's not theirs, whose is it? Either way, you know, it's not going to be bacterial sludge on Mars, is it? I mean, it's going to be somebody with a fairly literate sense of laws of physics and the universe. Trevor Paglen, I love this guy, he's a hero. He's a Canadian artist. He spent 30 years collecting patches. Here's some of the patches. They're so thick that when they work on secret projects, they have to have badges on them telling them what they are. Which tell you, give you clues, and then he went around collecting. He spent 30 years talking to people in bars saying, you know, got any patches? Can you give some dollars? Oh, yeah. So he collects all his patches, and it tells you what they're up to. But here's all the same thing. There's lots of references to Area 51 and so on. You know, people with this, they must be like, oh, I'm in this secret thing. It's marvellous. I'm in a secret club. All them over here, they don't know. But I know. It's the ultimate club to be in. So again, this is how they're operating. So here we have another one. As you see, the little grey guys figure a lot in these patches. Some of them have got a sense of humour. This one says Alien Technology Exploitation Division. There's a picture of ET with a chain on. And underneath, in Klingon, it says taste like chicken. Because Klingon is actually a language. It is actually a constructed language. So the people doing this secret stuff, they're very nice, like us. They've got a sense of humour. All military people have a black sense of humour. Some of it's a little bit dark. They obviously think they're a bit above everybody. How Space Operations. Space Operations Squadron. Now, if you've got a Space Operations Squadron, you've got a bloody spaceship. You can't have a Space Operations Squadron without a squadron of spaceships. So it's self-evident. Again, there's the aerofoil. There's one of the stars of the rules keeping us in here. This is quite interesting because if you look at it sideways, the profile, it's like a little ET. It looks like, one way it looks like a hooded monk or whatever it is, a Grim Reaper. But here you've got the nose and the forehead and the ear. Looks like, yeah, there's a bit of old coding, they like that. These ones are quite scary. This is who's really in charge of the programme. Jolly old Dracos and the Raptos that you never quite see. But, you know, these people, this is serious, these are real people doing real jobs with real billions of dollars a kit. They're taking this stuff seriously. This is us, we get hold of the planet. Yes, you bastards, you know. Bit Egyptian as well, isn't it? Also, these are all coded, so it's like Area 51, it tells you, there's 5 and 1, that's Area 51 there. Omega, yeah, we're going to zap you. Reptilian eye. There's some other psychology going on. Right, so there we go. So I'll finish up with, you know, you can always check those. Trevor Paglen's a guy. That's my favourite. This was just finish off the maths now. The boring, this lot worked on us, because it's all compartmentalised secret technology. They worked, and he talked to these people, and he got one of their patches, and they got fed up with having no patch. Because they were working on something so secret, they had no patch. Every time somebody went into their little unit and said, well, what do you do? They said, we can't tell you. They said, well, what do you do? You've got no patch on. We've got that patch. We've got that. So they got so fed up with this, they got their own patch. This one says, don't ask. there's the moon, question mark, none of your fucking business. That's literally what it means. And that was their joke. And he said after 3 years, they walk around these patches, then they just shut them up. People said, well, that's what we do. Because they're not allowed to tell you, but that's what we do. So General came to inspect them, and they thought they were going to get clobbered for this. And General came up and said, say son, he said, where can I get one of those patches? Because he wanted one. So they invented their own patch. So I would say my patch would be that one. Don't ask. WCF. Now, it's very interesting, they've got the moon on there and a question mark. Are they going back to the moon, coming backwards and forwards? Have they got a base in there? Have they got a secret base on Mars? Who knows? I'm not telling you, I don't know. As I say, I'm just a peasant. So, I try to find out. I like to know what I'm not supposed to know. I'm a peasant who's not supposed to be thinking like this. You're supposed to just die quietly and pay tax. So, here we are, here we go with the maths. Conformity hazard, knowledge frees you. Because if you know stuff, you're as good as them. They spend all their time trying to stop you knowing it. So it must be worth knowing. They're not going to tell you anything useful, because you might get good. So, you've heard of bases on the moon, things like that, anomalous objects, anomalous patterns on the moon. What these are, we don't know. Some of them look, obviously, there's a load of drunk Irish builders, I think, because it's not quite square, that one. So I think they're probably having a party there. Who knows? If you look, the stuff's there. So I encourage you to go away, have a look. Hopefully, if you've not known anything before today and come along and find out, please go have a look. It's fun, and you meet lots of other interesting people. So here we go. This is where the maths kicks in. Selected moons from the solar system scale. We should not have a moon. This is our planet. That should have a moon, Jupiter. They could have a moon. We should have something that size. That should be somewhere over here. Because our planet is too small, and the inner rocky planets don't really have moons that size. As we've seen with Andrew's presentation, Phobos and Deimos are there. They're both in circular orbits, so is the moon in a circular orbit. So that's interesting. These things could well be useful for bases. We know that there's ice on some of them, and there's possibility that one's Io, which is sulfur. Saturn is very weird, because Saturn pumps out 3 times the energy it receives from the sun. So why is it broadcasting something, is it? Is it broadcasting to us? Is it controlling the matrix that we live in by broadcasting waves to put all asleep? Because in the end, if you're asleep, you're not going to ask too many questions, are you? It's a bit like, 3-hour sermon at a Protestant service. By after an hour, you're numb, hell damnation, and stuff like that. You wake up, oh yeah, sorry. They just come around poking you with a stick, wake you up.
What's Eris?
Pardon?
On the end, Eris. Never heard of it.
Eris, I think it's a large asteroid. It has its own little moon. So they think that the asteroid belt was a destroyed planet, like Marduk, and that there was some sort of big galactic punch-up going on, and it was a bit of a battleground.
Or Venus's tail when it was a comet.
That's it, yes, well, whatever. I don't know, I just read the ancient scripts, I think, well, they can't all be mad. There's always been legends of space battles and stuff like that, and so he said, right, we're going to destroy your planet just to show you. Poof, gone. So let that be a lesson to you, don't think too hard. Here we go. Right, that's about the relative size of the moon to Earth as a picture. It's the magical proportion 3 to 11. So if we look at it in terms of diameter, we've got 11 units versus 3 units. 311, Masonic number, Masonic super number. Very important. It's one of the key numbers, or pairs of numbers, to remember. Because I'm not going to try and brainwash you with too many numbers today, but 11 and 3, and of course there are only really 9 numbers, because then we reiterate by adding a 0. So 11 is called the first master number. The Twin Towers with 2 giant 11s had 110 floors, which is 11 times 10. The twin towers were actually made with Masonic measurement of no known normal measurement used by feet and inches or whatever, or meters. So here we go, we get some interesting maths out of this. The Earth-Moon diameter ratio is 3 to 11. So if we divide 11 into 3, we get that fraction there, that decimal, 0.273. Just so happens that the Moon's volume is 27.3% of the Earth's. Same digits. Decimal place has moved over 100 times, but same digits. And the orbit of the Moon takes 27.3 days. Sorry? Bit of a coincidence, isn't it? But the Moon's mass, it'll take 81 moons to weigh the same as the Earth. The Moon's mass is about 1.2% of the Earth's mass. It would take 81 moons to equal, hang on a minute, didn't we just look at the volume? It's actually a quarter of the volume of the Earth. How come it's 1/81th of the mass? I remember when they crashed one of those allegedly Apollo landers into the Moon, that it rang like a bell for 24 hours. And they go, we don't know why it's ringing like that, it's like it's hollow. Perhaps it is hollow. But one very good explanation is that the Moon is actually an artificial satellite, which is actually hollow on the inside, like a Death Star, with a surface of the planet on the outside. Or is it just been hollowed out? Were the aliens mining the stuff, leaving the structure, taking it out, leaving the structure there, taking all the goodies out that are inside? We don't know. It's enough to make you barking mad. As we know, the Moon affects us all. Some people worse than others. My friend Robert here, he has terrible trouble when he gets full moon. He can't sleep, and for about 3 days he's roaming the streets howling. But that's normal in Margate. That's normal in Margate, isn't it? It's so familiar. Here we are, some iconic time-lapse picture putting it. This is our old friend. It's the old Moon, isn't it? What's out there? I don't know. It's the Moon, isn't it? How long has it been? I don't know. It was there when I was born. Still there now. It's so in your face that we just ignore it. Yet in the past, in our Druid past, the Moon and the Sun are very important. Equal status. Because this is the basic calendar of how we live. And the knowledge of how we control our environment depends whether we plant the crops, and depends whether we get some food, depends whether we're going to be here next year or we're all going to die out. So ancient civilizations looked to the Moon as a natural calendar. Church said, aha, we can't have people using the Moon as a natural calendar, we must screw them up. We'll invent a solar calendar where we'll have different months with different days, and we'll change the clocks, and all the little peasants won't know how the frickin' come or go. And we'll all be so anxious that he's in control. They all chilled out like, hey man, you know, it's like really cool, you know, seeing 3 moons, man. It'll be great, wouldn't it? I mean, where are we going to meet? Oh, 3 moons' time. I should meet you. Okay. So I don't need a watch. I don't need a watch. Control mechanism. Oh look, I got a watch. In the past, it was the bosses who had the time. They told you when the factory who went, work, stop, go home. They were the masters of time. If you control time, you control humanity. You go to the indigenous population in the Amazon, and you'll find that the average Amazonian sleeps in his hammock, smoking dope for about 23 hours a day, does 1 hour hunting, comes back with a bit of kill, wife prepares dinner, back in the hammock. We work and slave. What have we got at the moment, government? We must work harder. Our productivity is not so good. The slaves must be whipped more. Get some more money and work out of them. In fact, we're giving less money and ask for more work. What a good idea. Marvellous. See all the industrialists going on with this. Good idea. Right. As we said earlier on, very unusual times. End of the world. Woe is me. This is very unusual. Notice they come on Jewish holidays. The Jews are running around doing that nutting. Oh, hadn't got them, my boy, hadn't got them. Oh my God, I put a McGinner in there. I don't know. My life. Right, okay, now, it probably is in the world for those guys. They've got so much stashed in there, no insurance, they're all buggered. They're moving up, these people drilling, oh yeah, it's a good Friday, we'll start drilling, 2 metres of wall, oh yeah, no problem, mate. Alarms going off, police can't be asked. Yeah, have some sandwiches. You want a sandwich? Oh, well, we didn't say that. It's like one of those Michael Caine films, it's amazing. So, this is my tenet. I taught children in the school system, but I taught them to think. I was a covert worker, if you like, a fifth columnist in the system. I taught my pupils, especially in science, I said, they said, what are we doing today? I say, we're doing an experiment. They said, what is it? I said, don't know. They said, what do you mean don't know? You're in charge. I said, you don't know, but it's an experiment. And then they look at it and say, well, yeah, well, so we're going to do this, and I said, isn't it dangerous? It could be. They go, have you done this before? No. Why do we do it? It's an experiment. And then after about 10 minutes, they go, do you think we need safety spectacles? I said, it's up to you. You make your own decision. Do you think you need safety spectacles? I've got glasses. Look. I've built-in safety spectacles. I'm all right. Also, I think if it looks a bit dodgy, I'm going to run away. And they go, they go to the end of the room then. Oh, that was good. Can we do it again? Yes. I had a poster when I worked at Hartsdown and it said, chemistry is dangerous, and underneath, some bright child read, if you're lucky. That was very good. So here we are, history is a lie, system is a lie, money is a hoax, debt is a fiction, media is manipulation, religion is a control system, government is a corporation. Wake up! Now we're going to watch X Factor and another pizza. First. Noam Chomsky, the America's #1 dissident, said this: the general population doesn't know what's happening, and it doesn't even know it doesn't know. That's the best form of defence. If you don't know that you're in prison, you just think you're free. Makes me laugh. They call America the land of the free. It's most spotted on the most computed, most tagged country on the planet. We beat them on CCTV. We have more cameras per square mile. They're the country on the planet. Why? Because the City of London is the control centre. It's the original tax haven, City of London. It's where all the world's finances filter through. Oh, we have all this tax haven. But then, hang on a minute, I'm a peasant, but I got to put my money offshore so I don't pay tax. Is that okay? Oh, no, you can't do that. We do that. No, you can't. So, people are waking up. It's part of the energy programme that's happening on the planet with 2012. We're post-2012 now and everybody's waking up. The energies are right. People start to ask questions. Starting to realise that every sovereign being has a soul. So there is a new dawn. It's not all negative. This is us. This is 99% of human beings on this planet don't want to roger each other with a machine gun and have drones flying over their houses, enjoying the natural gifts of our planet, which is very beautiful. So I'm very positive. Back to the moon. This is what we've been told. We look at this, it follows us around because it just so happens to rotate once every month. So we only see the one side. Isn't that very convenient? Isn't it very convenient that you only see the one side? Ooh. So, if I was an ET, where would I hide? I'd hide on the other side. Oh, what a good idea. I'd come round and have a little peek every so often. I'd come and see what those idiots are up there. Look at them. They're still blowing each other up. Great. And there we are, there's another picture. You do get a slightly different angle at different times of the month, but because you get slightly around the bend a bit and you see a little bit of, oh, that's quite good. But none of these craters are very big, as we said. None of them, I think, are more than 4 miles in depth, yet some of them are 100 miles wide. It looks to me like somebody's been hollowing out things and pouring magma onto the surface so it settles as Maria, as they called them, because they couldn't think of anything else. So they named them all this. Oh, that's okay, we've named them all now. Oh, we know what it is, go back to sleep. So here we are. Oh, look, sea of vapours. What? Who came up with these names? So, when they went around the back of the moon, one of the biggest surprises was the back of the moon didn't look like anything like the front of the moon. Whoa! hang on a minute, it's not the dark side because that gets sunlight as well. So they changed to the far side, and that's quite the old joke comic strip, the far side, which is always very good. If it's been bulldozed by impact craters, why isn't that the same as that? Don't know. Who knows? But that was a big surprise. So another anomaly. So here we are, there's the backside of the moon, a bit more detailed. It's always been sat on its backside for a long time, it's got a lot of pock marks. So it does look like it's been bulldozed through space with a few more asteroids. Supposing you moved a moon, right? You want to move a moon around, right? Your ETs, you're 35 foot big, you've got spaceships that are 3 times the size of the Earth flying around the Sun, you can do all this in geoengineering. Let's push a moon into orbit. If we bulldoze it through space, one side's going to get clobbered as it goes through space, isn't it? Was that the side that got pushed? Also, it bulges that side away from the Earth. You'd think with gravity of the Earth, it would bulge towards the Earth, wouldn't you? There's 20 reasons why we shouldn't have a moon. I listed them all in my little book based on a book called Moongate, which is why I put Moongate Margate in my original brief for this. Written in 1972, Moongate was the original lunar conspiracy thing, which highlighted all the questions you shouldn't ask astronomers, because they don't like to ask questions they don't know the answer to. Patrick Moore down the Winter Gardens there, I went to see him once, and he got asked a question by the audience about UFOs.
I was there.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, I was there, yeah.
He went round mental, didn't he? He had no answers. So he just
asked him the first question, actually.
Yes!
Yes, on Orion.
That was you!
Yeah, and then the second question
was that
UFO
me?
question. Yeah, that's me.
It made me laugh because he was all cool and collected with his story, and then suddenly I heard him, poof, he evaporated, didn't he? It was incredible.
Yeah.
Happy days. So this is as far as we ever get at school. We all get bored to death with education, and by then you're told, this is what you need to know. You mustn't think any more about that. And the poor little children have got to keep repeating it and doing little shadow drawings and things for their GCSE, otherwise they don't get their GCSE. Right, now what you then find is a big surprise is that the ancient civilizations, especially this little bunch here, knew stuff. Secrets in plain sight, macrocosmic harmony, the Earth, the Moon, the Sphinx, the pyramids and the megaliths. I read a book called The Sphinx and the Megaliths when I was at university. I was always doing things I wasn't supposed to be doing at university, which is why I became educated. Rather than do what I was supposed to do. And one of the things books I picked up was called The Sphinx and the Megaliths. That was the one that opened my mind. This was about 1974, 75. I can remember just walked into a bookshop in Chingham Road, Newcastle, and it was there. I just bought it. I think it might have been a newsagent. But it really blew my head because it's all about Stonehenge and the Giza Pyramid. You can see here they were into sacred geometry. Sacred geometry is the book of the universe, of how it's constructed. So if you want to know how the universe is constructed, sacred geometry, this is the Vesica Pisces. You see they're very big on Vesica Pisces there. Everything is harmonic, everything is basic geometry, and they were masters. They had 3,000 years of civilization. They were masters of the art. You can see here with the Great Pyramid that they were using the same geometry with this. You can see quite obviously the head has been remodelled. This is the weathering. This weathering is about 9,000 years old on the Sphinx's body. There is, if you read Graham Hancock and Beauvoir and the gang, they thought it was a lion, the big lion head facing the east. It's all to do with the Ryan, things like that. And what happened was one of the Egyptians, Khufu, came along and said, I quite like that, I'm going to have it re-chiseled into my face because I'm so great. The man must have had a big ego. And of course he had it re-chiseled, so you can see the head's very small compared to the size of the body. Anyway, sorry, I digress. So, they were into sacred geometry, and then you can see a bigger version of it. You can see how it fits. These people know what they're doing? I don't know, it's very clever, don't they? Very marvellous. You can see some of the original. My father went there, and I say Carl's been there, he's just been there another week. Went in the King's Chamber, that sort of stuff. Bloody impressive, isn't it? I mean, Wimpies wouldn't build that. 2.25 million blocks moved to pile it up to make a pyramid. And when we get to Silbury Hill, it's 9 million cubic feet of earth piled up to make a hill. You can imagine getting up in the morning in Wiltshire and come out after 10 pints of coffee the night before, going, oh, okay, boss, what are we going to do there? Oh, we're going to build a hill. Oh, that's nice. I've got sheep to tend. No, we're going to build a hill today, right? We're going to pile it all up, and when we get there, we can't even see the circle we've built. Doesn't add up. The only thing that can motivate him is religion. There's got to be a very powerful reason to make this stuff happen. Maybe religion with the Egyptians. You've got to get something to get you up in the morning. So there we are. Now we see the universal harmony. This is a nebula, exploding nebula. And you can see the same geometry enacted in galactic scale as on that scale. So you see the harmony as above, so below. This is very interesting. Number comes up over and over again. Here's our Horus, here's our Sun, and it just so happens that the maximum luminosity within the visible band of light is 555 nanometers. Isn't that nice? Starts to look a bit sort of Masonic. Ooh, 555. Crops up everywhere. 555, 666, 777. And this is a nice little bit. Now, does everyone know, do you know Pythagorean triangles? What they are? 3, 4, 5 triangles? Pythagoras. He came up with this marvellous idea that a right angled triangle, that the square of this side and the square of that side equals the square on that side. So you can calculate it. Okay, it's called Pythagoras, the way he calculated triangle. This is basic to how the universe works. Maybe that gravity and light are the same function. There is an old joke, right? It's an old joke to remember. If you're at school, this is what you use, and everybody groans. But there was once an Indian chief, and he had 3 squaws. He had a squaw on the hippopotamus hide, squaw on the buffalo hide, and a squaw on the antelope hide. He's been importing some. After 12 months, 9 months, the squaw here had 1 baby, the squaw here had 1 baby, but this one had twins. Which only goes to show that the squaw on the hippopotamus is equal to the sum of the squaws on the other 2 sides. Yeah? No? Same reaction I had at school. You have to entertain kids for an hour at a time and then you go on to the next one. 8 hours a day. Right. Well, that died a death, didn't it? Right, okay. But anyway, here we go. This is the 3 main numbers of how the universe works. Pi, you're familiar with as being the circle and the sphere. That's how we determine the sphere and the pi. Knowing the irrational number pi is basic to understanding 3-dimensional space with spheres and volumes, and everything's a sphere. Phi is the constant for the golden mean, the Fibonacci series. It turns out to be to do with spiritual stuff. And phi is 1.618. This one is 3.142. 14159 and so on. It's irrational, goes on forever, it's not a precise number. This one is the one that people have trouble with. This is E. E is the natural logarithm of growth, 2.71. And basically, if you square that, you get that. Most people don't know that one. But the 3 irrational constants that actually create the universe actually almost make a Pythagorean triangle. So if we square that one, we get that. Square that, we get that. And we square that,